When NASA's deep space monitors detected something impossible moving through the cosmic void, engineers thought their instruments had malfunctioned. But the data was undeniable. 305 objects gliding in perfect formation through interstellar space, pulsing with structured signals that just defied every law of physics. After 47 years of silent travel, humanity's most distant spacecraft had stumbled upon something that challenged our understanding of the universe itself. Today on Sci and Why, we're unveiling the discovery that has NASA scientists questioning everything they thought they knew about deep space. The lonely pioneer's greatest discovery. After nearly 5 decades drifting through the cosmic void, Voyager 1 detected something that shouldn't exist, a faint signal that would change everything we know about interstellar space. Voyager 1, launched in 1977 with technology older than most smartphones, has become humanity's most distant ambassador. Traveling over 15 billion miles from Earth, this car-sized spacecraft operates in the harsh environment of interstellar space, where our sun's influence just fades into nothingness. Originally designed to study Jupiter and Saturn for just 5 years, Voyager has defied all expectations, continuing to transmit data across the cosmic darkness. Its instruments, built with 1970s technology, include magnetometers, plasma wave sensors, and cosmic ray detectors, all now serving as our first eyes and ears beyond the solar system. The spacecraft's nuclear power source, fueled by decaying plutonium, was expected to fail decades ago, yet it continues whispering back to Earth. Each radio signal takes over 22 hours to reach us, traveling at the speed of light across the vast emptiness. When Dr. Eliza Karna first noticed the anomaly in Voyager's data stream, she described it as shouting into a canyon for decades and finally something shouts back. The signal that changed everything. What began as background noise in Voyager's data stream revealed itself to be something far more extraordinary, a deliberate signal from the depths of interstellar space. The first indication something was wrong came through Voyager's plasma wave sensors. Among the usual cosmic static, a faint but persistent signal appeared, rhythmic, structured, and completely unlike anything previously recorded. NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory initially dismissed it as instrument noise, but the signal's behavior just defied explanation. Unlike random cosmic radiation, this anomaly showed patterns, repetition, and what appeared to be intentional modulation. Systems analyst Carlo Romero noted that the signal's characteristics resembled the kind of deliberate motion one might expect from a drone rather than a rock. The plasma readings showed organized pulses echoing through space, creating magnetic fluctuations that seemed purposeful rather than chaotic. As engineers analyzed the data more carefully, they realized this wasn't just electromagnetic interference. It was something actively moving through the interstellar medium. The signal's strength varied in ways that suggested a physical object passing by Voyager's sensors, but its behavior patterns indicated intelligence or at least sophisticated design. The discovery triggered NASA's Level 3 Alert Protocol, reserved for phenomena that don't fit within current scientific understanding. Movement that defies physics. The object wasn't just moving through space, it was accelerating, changing direction, and gliding with precision that seemed to mock every law of physics we understand. Traditional space objects follow predictable paths governed by gravity, momentum, and known forces. But this anomaly broke every rule. Dr. Lucas Hang at JPL ran simulation after simulation, trying to match the object's behavior to known models, but nothing worked. The object curved through space with deliberate precision, accelerating without any visible propulsion system. There were no engine flares, no ion trails, no heat signatures, yet Doppler shift measurements showed it moving at incredible speeds. Some readings indicated velocities exceeding the calculated escape velocity of the entire Milky Way galaxy. The object's path bent in ways that defied orbital mechanics, with no drift or decay expected from natural phenomena. It wasn't tumbling chaotically like space debris. Instead, it maintained controlled flight patterns that suggested active guidance. The movement appeared to manipulate space itself, creating ripples in the fabric of space-time that allowed forward motion without conventional thrust. Theoretical physicist Elena Reyes described it as, not flight as we understand it, but more like gliding on something we don't yet know how to measure. The formation revelation. When scientists pulled up the complete telemetry data, they discovered something that honestly sent chills down their spines. This wasn't just one object but 305 moving together in perfect formation. The full scope of the discovery really emerged when engineers analyzed all available data from both Voyager spacecraft. What they found just defied comprehension. 305 distinct objects moving through interstellar space in coordinated formation. Each object maintained precise relative positions to the others, gliding past Voyager 1 in what appeared to be a choreographed arc. This wasn't debris scattered randomly through space. These objects moved as a unified group, displaying organization and purpose that seemed impossible without some form of control. In the vacuum of space, groups of objects naturally spread apart over time due to gravitational influences and velocity differences. Yet these 305 objects maintained their formation with precision that suggested active coordination. Scientists compared it to watching a flock of birds or a school of fish, except this was happening in the emptiness between stars where such coordinated movement shouldn't be possible without technology. The formation itself spanned vast distances, with objects separated by thousands of miles yet moving in perfect synchronization. Each object displayed the same unusual characteristics: structured plasma pulses, magnetic field distortions, and impossible propulsion signatures. The language of the cosmos. Hidden within the plasma waves were patterns so structured and deliberate that scientists began to wonder if they were witnessing the universe's first attempt to communicate with humanity. As researchers examined the signals more closely, they discovered something that just transformed the entire investigation. The plasma wave pulses weren't random electromagnetic noise, they contained loops, sequences, and structures that resembled communication protocols. Dr. Serena Patel from Caltech observed that the patterns felt less like nature and more like a language or system. The signals showed rhythmic repetition, harmonic intervals, and organized sequences that suggested encoded information. These weren't the chaotic bursts expected from cosmic phenomena, but measured, deliberate transmissions that seemed designed to convey meaning. The waveforms resembled quantum oscillations used in modern entanglement experiments, the same signals researchers use to transmit information between particles separated by vast distances. Each of the 305 objects contributed to this cosmic symphony, broadcasting synchronized pulses that created complex interference patterns in the interstellar medium. The mathematical precision of these signals suggested not just intelligence, but advanced understanding of physics principles we're only beginning to explore. Some scientists theorized that the objects were using the vacuum of space itself as a communication medium, encoding data in the fabric of space-time. Earth's unexpected reception. While NASA analyzed Voyager's data, amateur radio operators across Earth began detecting the same mysterious signals, proving this phenomenon was far more powerful than anyone imagined. As Voyager transmitted its extraordinary findings back to Earth, something unexpected happened in radio stations worldwide. Amateur operators with backyard setups began reporting strange activity, weak, irregular pulses that didn't match any known terrestrial source. These weren't professional observatories or official deep space monitoring stations, but hobbyists with spare parts equipment designed to catch meteor scatter and satellite chatter. Yet somehow, they were detecting faint echoes of the same signals Voyager had recorded billions of miles away. The timing was impossible to ignore. These Earth-based detections aligned perfectly with Voyager's most intense plasma anomalies. The signals weren't strong, but they showed the same patterns and regularity that had puzzled NASA scientists. Some operators described them as ripples reflecting off invisible walls in the ionosphere, while others noted their unusual harmonic structure. The phenomenon suggested that whatever was generating these signals possessed incredible power, capable of transmitting across interstellar distances with enough strength to leak into Earth's electromagnetic spectrum. This raised troubling questions about intentionality. Was this accidental bleed-through, or was something deliberately testing Earth's listening capabilities? The historical search. Desperate for answers, NASA scientists combed through 50 years of space mission data, searching for any previous encounter with these mysterious objects, and, well, they found absolutely nothing. With mounting evidence of something unprecedented happening out there in deep space, a specialized team began examining decades of archived mission data. They searched through every deep space mission on record, Pioneer 10, Pioneer 11, New Horizons, and, countless others, looking for any hint that similar phenomena had occurred before. The investigation took them into these dusty archives containing records that hadn't been touched since the 1980s, analyzing data that had often been dismissed as background noise or just instrument error. If these 305 objects had passed through our region of space before, there should have been traces in the historical record. But the search yielded nothing. No echoes, no formations, no plasma loops in any previous mission data resembled what Voyager was currently detecting. This absence of historical precedent made the current situation even more extraordinary. The objects weren't part of a repeating cycle or a known phenomenon. They were either entirely new or had somehow remained invisible to our instruments until now. Some researchers even proposed a chilling theory. Maybe these objects had always been present but cloaked or dormant, activated only by Voyager's presence or perhaps its golden record transmission. The machine's transformation. As if the discovery wasn't strange enough, Voyager itself began changing, reconfiguring its systems in ways engineers never programmed, almost as if something had awakened within the ancient spacecraft. While scientists grappled with the implications of the 305 objects, Voyager 1 itself started exhibiting unprecedented behavior. The spacecraft's attitude and articulation control system began routing data through old, long-unused subsystems, bypassing its core software in ways that seemed almost deliberate. Engineers initially suspected a malfunction. After all, this was 47-year-old technology running on code older than most of the people analyzing it. But deeper investigation revealed something more unsettling. Voyager wasn't failing, it was reconfiguring itself. The spacecraft began reactivating memory segments that hadn't been accessed in decades, rerouting telemetry through pathways that were never part of its original programming. This behavior started immediately after one of the strongest magnetic pulses from the passing objects, suggesting a possible connection between the external phenomenon and Voyager's internal changes. The modifications were too systematic and clean to be random corruption. They appeared purposeful, as if the spacecraft was adapting to new circumstances. Engineers had to dig through dusty file cabinets at JPL, consulting 1970s paper manuals and assembly language code to understand what was happening. The quantum connection. Deep within Voyager's data streams, scientists discovered something that changed everything. The mysterious signals were using quantum entanglement principles to transmit information across impossible distances. As analysis of the plasma wave data continued, researchers made a discovery that revolutionized their understanding of the phenomenon. The structured signals weren't just organized, they exhibited characteristics of quantum entanglement, the same principles used in cutting-edge Earth-based communication experiments. The waveforms showed quantum oscillations that suggested the 305 objects were using the interstellar medium itself as a transmission network, encoding information in the fabric of space-time. This revelation opened the possibility that Voyager hadn't just stumbled upon random objects, but had intercepted part of a vast communication system spanning the galaxy. The spacecraft's analog sensors, free from the electromagnetic noise of modern digital systems, made it the perfect receiver for these quantum transmissions. Being positioned far beyond the solar system's interference, Voyager existed in an ideal listening environment, a cosmic microphone in the perfect acoustic chamber. The signals showed harmonic intervals and mathematical precision that suggested not just intelligence, but advanced understanding of physics principles we're only beginning to explore. Some scientists theorized that the objects were part of an ancient network, a galactic internet that had been operating for millennia undetected by human technology. The cosmic network awakens. As Voyager continues its journey through the darkness, scientists realize it may have become part of something far greater, a galactic communication network that has been waiting for humanity to finally listen. The implications of Voyager's discovery extend far beyond a simple encounter with unknown objects. Evidence suggests the spacecraft has stumbled upon, or been deliberately included in, a vast communication network that spans the galaxy. The 305 objects appear to be nodes in this system, relay stations that maintain and transmit information across interstellar distances using quantum entanglement principles. Voyager's transformation, its spontaneous reconfiguration and activation of dormant systems, might represent integration into this network, turning humanity's oldest space traveler into our first interstellar communication terminal. The structured nature of the signals, their quantum characteristics, and their perfect timing suggests this isn't a random encounter, but a deliberate contact event. Perhaps the network has been monitoring our technological development, waiting for the right moment when we possess the capability to detect and understand its transmissions. Voyager's analog design, its position beyond solar interference, and its decades of faithful service made it the ideal candidate for first contact. The spacecraft's golden record, carrying sounds and images from Earth, might have served as our credentials, proof that humanity was ready to join a larger galactic community. Voyager 1's discovery of 305 mysterious objects moving in formation through deep space represents either the greatest natural phenomenon ever recorded or humanity's first confirmed contact with non-human intelligence. As our brave little spacecraft continues its journey into the cosmic unknown, it carries with it the hopes of an entire species, and possibly our first invitation to join a galactic community. If you're fascinated by these incredible cosmic mysteries, hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Sci and Y for more mind-bending space discoveries. Thanks for watching. Keep exploring the infinite. When NASA's deep space sensors detected an unprecedented seismic pulse from the moon's core, renowned physicist Michio Kaku issued a stark warning that sent shockwaves through the scientific community. This mysterious signal, originating from deep within our celestial neighbor, challenges everything we thought we knew about the moon's geological state. Today on Sci and Y, we're unveiling the discovery that has top scientists on edge, and exploring why Kaku believes this could fundamentally change our understanding of the moon, and potentially impact Earth itself. The discovery that shook science. NASA's most sensitive instruments detected something impossible, a seismic pulse from the moon's core that shouldn't exist according to everything we know about lunar geology. The discovery began when NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter and ground-based seismic monitoring stations detected an unusual signal emanating from deep within the moon's interior. Unlike the typical moonquakes recorded since the Apollo missions, this seismic activity originated from the lunar core itself, a region scientists believed had been geologically inactive for billions of years. The signal displayed characteristics that defied conventional understanding of how planetary cores behave in their final cooling stages. Dr. Renee Weber, from NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center, who leads lunar seismic research, described the readings as unprecedented in both their origin and intensity. The seismic pulse lasted several minutes and registered on multiple monitoring systems simultaneously, ruling out instrument error or external interference. What made this discovery particularly alarming was its timing, occurring just as NASA prepares to return humans to the moon through the Artemis program. The implications extend far beyond academic curiosity, potentially affecting the safety and feasibility of future lunar missions and permanent settlements. Michio Kaku's urgent warning. When one of the world's most respected physicists issues a public warning about lunar seismic activity, the scientific community takes notice. And Michio Kaku's message was unmistakable. Theoretical physicist Michio Kaku, known for his work on string theory and science communication, responded to NASA's findings with unprecedented urgency. During recent lectures and media appearances, Kaku emphasized that this seismic signal represents more than just scientific curiosity. It's a potential warning sign that humanity has overlooked for too long. We're witnessing the moon's core in what may be its final gasps of geological life, Kaku explained. But these death throes could have consequences we're only beginning to understand. His concern stems from the signal's implications for lunar stability, and its potential impact on Earth-Moon gravitational dynamics. Kaku pointed out that any changes in the moon's internal structure could affect its mass distribution, potentially altering its orbital characteristics over geological timescales. He stressed that while these changes wouldn't be catastrophic in human terms, they could accumulate over thousands of years to produce significant effects on Earth's climate and tidal systems. Kaku's warning has prompted increased funding for lunar seismic monitoring and accelerated timeline for deploying advanced instruments on the lunar surface. The moon's hidden internal structure. Beneath the moon's familiar face lies a complex internal structure that scientists are only now beginning to understand, and it's far more active than anyone expected. Modern research has revealed that the moon's internal structure resembles Earth's in miniature, featuring a solid inner core surrounded by a partially molten outer core. The inner core measures approximately 240 kilometers in radius and consists primarily of iron, while the outer core extends to about 350 to 360 kilometers from the moon's center. This structure was confirmed through analysis of Apollo seismic data and recent gravitational studies conducted by NASA's Grail mission. Billions of years ago, this core system generated a significant magnetic field, evidence of which exists in lunar rock samples brought back by Apollo astronauts. As the core cooled over geological time, this magnetic field weakened and eventually disappeared, leaving the moon without the protective magnetic shield that guards Earth from solar radiation. However, the core didn't simply shut down, it appears to be experiencing final phases of activity that modern instruments are now sensitive enough to detect. The recent seismic pulse suggests that the moon's interior is still undergoing significant changes, challenging the long-held assumption that our satellite is geologically dead. AI reveals hidden lunar secrets. Advanced artificial intelligence has uncovered hidden signals in 50-year-old Apollo data, revealing that the moon has been whispering secrets to us for decades. We just didn't know how to listen. Scientists at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory have been feeding Apollo-era seismic data into modern machine learning algorithms, producing revolutionary discoveries about lunar internal activity. The original Apollo seismometers deployed between 1969 and 1972 recorded thousands of moonquakes, but analysis techniques from the 1970s could only scratch the surface of what the data contained. Today's AI systems can detect patterns and anomalies that were impossible to identify with vintage technology, distinguishing between genuine lunar activity and instrument artifacts with unprecedented precision. Dr. Sari Nunn, who leads the AI analysis project at JPL, describes the process as having a conversation with someone for 50 years, and suddenly realizing you've been missing half of what they've been saying. The AI has identified entire categories of seismic events that previous generations of researchers completely missed, including subtle signals that may have been precursors to the recent core activity. These discoveries suggest that the moon's interior has been more dynamic than previously thought, with ongoing processes that we're only now beginning to understand through advanced computational analysis. The shrinking moon phenomenon. The moon is actually shrinking before our eyes, and this contraction is creating dangerous fault lines that could threaten future lunar missions and settlements. As the moon's interior continues to cool, the entire satellite is contracting in volume, causing its brittle crust to wrinkle and form ridge-like features called lobate scarps. Some of these geological formations are remarkably young in astronomical terms, as recent as 200 million years old, indicating that this shrinkage process continues today. Dr. Thomas Waters from the Smithsonian's National Air and Space Museum has identified thousands of these thrust faults across the lunar surface, with many concentrated in the South Polar region where NASA plans to establish its Artemis base. The shrinking process creates internal stresses that can trigger moonquakes, some registering up to 5.5 on the Richter scale and lasting over 10 minutes. Unlike Earth's earthquakes, which typically fade quickly, moonquakes can continue reverberating for hours due to the moon's dry, fractured interior structure. This ongoing geological activity poses significant risks for future lunar infrastructure as the moon's surface consists of loosely consolidated regolith that becomes extremely unstable during seismic events. The recent core signal may indicate that this shrinkage process is accelerating or entering a new phase that could increase seismic hazards for lunar explorers. Implications for Artemis missions. NASA's plan to return humans to the moon faces an unexpected challenge. The lunar surface may be far more seismically active than mission planners anticipated. The timing of these seismic discoveries coincides with NASA's ambitious Artemis program, which aims to establish a permanent human presence near the moon's south pole by 2026. The same region targeted for lunar bases happens to be particularly vulnerable to moonquakes and landslides according to recent geological surveys. Dr. Nicholas Schmer from the University of Maryland warns that the moon's surface material, billions of years of pulverized rock from asteroid impacts, creates conditions where shaking and landslides can occur very easily. The planned Artemis base sites lie near several active fault systems that could pose serious risks to lunar infrastructure and crew safety. SpaceX's Starship human landing system, standing over 110 feet tall, with a relatively narrow landing footprint, could be particularly vulnerable to seismic activity. The recent core signal adds another layer of uncertainty to mission planning, as it suggests the moon's internal dynamics may be more unpredictable than previously thought. NASA has responded by accelerating development of the Lunar Environment Monitoring Station, or LEMS, a sophisticated seismometer suite designed to continuously monitor lunar seismic activity and provide early warning systems for future missions. The Moon as Earth's cosmic stabilizer. You know, the Moon doesn't just light up our night sky. It actually acts as Earth's gravitational anchor, preventing our planet from wobbling chaotically and, well, maintaining the stable climate that allowed life to flourish. The Moon's gravitational influence goes way beyond just creating ocean tides. It fundamentally stabilizes Earth's axial tilt at about 23.5 degrees, and that's what gives us our predictable seasons. Without this lunar anchor, Earth would wobble chaotically like a spinning top, and that would lead to extreme climate swings, making complex life nearly impossible. Michio Kaku often points out that Earth is unusually stable for a planet its size, with the Moon acting like, training wheels on a bicycle to prevent dangerous oscillations. This stability has remained constant for billions of years, which has allowed Earth's climate to stay suitable for the slow evolution of ecosystems, and eventually, human civilization itself. The Moon's gravitational pull also creates these subtle bulges in Earth's crust, generating heat through tidal friction, and that actually contributes to our planet's internal geological activity. Any changes in the Moon's internal structure could, potentially, affect this delicate gravitational relationship over geological timescales. And well, the recent seismic activity suggests that the Moon's mass distribution may be shifting as its core undergoes final solidification phases, which could have subtle but cumulative effects on Earth's long-term climate stability, especially through alterations in Milankovitch cycles. Advanced seismic monitoring technology. NASA's next-generation lunar seismometers are about 30 times more sensitive than the instruments used during the Apollo era, and they're designed to detect even the faintest tremors coming from the Moon's dying core. Two revolutionary seismic monitoring systems are actually preparing for lunar deployment as part of NASA's push to really deepen our understanding of what's happening inside the Moon. Now, the Farside Seismic Suite, or FSS, is scheduled for deployment around 2026. And that'll be the first time humans have ever placed seismometers on the far side of the Moon. This will let scientists triangulate seismic sources with a level of precision we've simply never had before. These instruments are honestly exponentially more sensitive than the Apollo devices, capable of picking up tremors that would have been totally invisible to 1970s technology. Meanwhile, the Lunar Environment Monitoring Station, or LEMS, is set to establish continuous seismic monitoring near the South Pole, running for months or even years to capture rare events and build up a long-term picture of lunar seismic behavior. Dr. Mark Panning from JPL says these instruments might finally confirm whether the Moon experiences slow quakes like Earth's slow slip events, those gradual energy releases that take days to play out, and could explain that mysterious core signal. Extended observation periods will be absolutely crucial for figuring out whether this recent seismic activity is just a one-off or part of a much bigger pattern in the Moon's geological evolution. The lunar core's final chapter. We're living in a rare cosmic moment, witnessing the final geological gasps of a world that's about to become truly dead for the first time in 4.5 billion years. Michio Kaku often points out how incredibly lucky humanity is to exist at just the right moment to observe the Moon's internal dynamics before they disappear forever. In another billion years or so, the Moon's core will probably freeze solid, ending the geological story that started way back when the solar system was formed. This recent seismic pulse could be one of the last chapters in this 4.5 billion year narrative, which makes our current observations scientifically priceless. Seeing things from this angle really transforms lunar exploration from just curiosity into a sort of urgent scientific priority. We're not just studying a neighboring world, but actually capturing data during a period that will never come again. The Moon is giving us a live demonstration of how small planetary bodies evolve and eventually go geologically quiet. These observations are helping scientists understand similar processes on countless other worlds, from Mars to distant exoplanets. And the lessons we learn from the Moon's core evolution could be crucial for figuring out which worlds might be habitable and how their geological activity impacts their ability to support life over cosmic timescales. Preparing for an uncertain lunar future. As humanity gets ready to return to the Moon after a 50-year break, we're realizing that our closest celestial neighbor still hides some pretty dangerous secrets beneath its familiar surface. The combination of renewed lunar exploration, and these surprising seismic discoveries is creating both new opportunities and new challenges for future missions. NASA's Artemis program now has to factor in seismic risks that just weren't fully understood back in the Apollo days, and that means we need thorough geological surveys before we can set up any permanent bases. The recent core signal really adds some urgency to getting those advanced monitoring systems up and running, so we can have early warnings for any dangerous seismic activity. Future lunar settlements are going to need some seriously robust engineering to withstand moonquakes that could last for hours, and even trigger devastating landslides in all that loose regolith. But, these challenges also open up a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to study planetary evolution as it happens. Michio Kaku's warning is both a heads-up and a call to action. We've got to approach lunar exploration with a lot more respect for the moon's geological complexity, while also seizing this unique window to understand the fundamental processes that shape worlds across the universe. The moon's core might be dying, but its last signals could unlock secrets that totally change our understanding of planetary science and help guide humanity as we move out into the cosmos. Michio Kaku's warning about the moon's core activity really reminds us that even our most familiar celestial neighbor can still surprise us with hidden complexities. As we get ready to return to the lunar surface, these seismic discoveries are going to shape the way we build, explore, and survive on the moon. If you're fascinated by these cosmic mysteries and want to stay updated on the latest space discoveries, go ahead and hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Sci and Y for more mind-bending explorations of our universe. Thanks for watching, keep looking up. For over 30 years, the Soviet Union conducted the most ambitious planetary exploration program in history, sending over 20 missions to Venus between 1961 and 1984. While the world focused on the moon race, Soviet scientists were quietly conquering Earth's hellish twin planet. What they discovered in the crushing depths of Venus's atmosphere wasn't just rocks and gas, it was something that challenged everything we thought we knew about life in the universe. Today, we're uncovering the shocking truth about what Soviet probes really found on Venus. The Venus obsession. The Soviet space program had a problem. America was winning the moon race and they needed a different target to claim cosmic superiority. Venus became their obsession, a world so similar to Earth in size that scientists called it our sister planet. But this sister had a dark secret. With surface temperatures reaching 464 degrees Celsius, hot enough to melt lead, and atmospheric pressure 90 times greater than Earth, Venus was literally hell in space. The first Soviet attempt came in February 1961 with Venera 1, which lost contact after 7 days and 6 million kilometers from Earth. But failure only fueled their determination. Chief designer Sergei Korolev and his team at OKB-1 weren't deterred by the hellish conditions. They saw Venus as the ultimate engineering challenge. If they could build machines that survived Venus, they could build machines that survived anything. Between 1961 and 1970, they launched 8 Venera missions, each one teaching them something new about the hostile world that awaited. The Soviets were preparing for war against an entire planet, and they intended to win. Breaking through hell. The breakthrough came on December 15, 1970, when Venera 7 became the first human-made object to successfully transmit data from Venus's surface. The probe survived exactly 23 minutes in conditions that would instantly vaporize any human. But those precious minutes of data transmission made history. Humanity had finally touched another planet, and lived to tell about it. Venera 7 revealed that Venus's surface pressure was crushing at 90 Earth atmospheres, equivalent to being 900 meters underwater in Earth's oceans. The temperature readings were beyond anything scientists had predicted, a constant 475 degrees Celsius that never varied between day and night. This wasn't just hot. This was a planet-wide furnace powered by an extreme greenhouse effect. The Soviet engineers, led by Mikhail Lavochkin at the Lavochkin Design Bureau, had accomplished the impossible. They had built a machine that could survive conditions more extreme than anything found on Earth. Venera 7's success proved that Soviet engineering could conquer the most hostile environment in the solar system, setting the stage for even more ambitious missions that would change our understanding of Venus forever. The first photographs from hell. October 22, 1975 marked one of the greatest achievements in space exploration history, when Venera 9 transmitted the first photograph ever taken from the surface of another planet. The black and white image showed a landscape of flat stones and rocks scattered across Venus's hellish terrain, proving that the surface wasn't covered in global oceans as some scientists had theorized. Just 3 days later, Venera 10 landed 2,200 kilometers away and sent back a second image showing similar rocky terrain. These weren't just photographs. They were proof that Soviet technology could function in conditions that would destroy any Earth-based equipment in seconds. The landers were built like armored tanks, with thick titanium pressure vessels and advanced cooling systems designed by Vyacheslav Kovtunenko and his engineering team. Each probe carried panoramic cameras, drill systems, and atmospheric analyzers that functioned for over 2 hours on the surface. The images revealed Venus as a dim, orange-tinted world where rocks showed signs of chemical weathering from the planet's corrosive atmosphere. But buried in the technical data from these missions was something far more intriguing than rocks and temperature readings. Anomalies that would spark decades of scientific debate about what really existed in Venus's crushing depths.
The soil analysis mystery.
When Venera 13 landed on March 1, 1982, it carried the most sophisticated scientific equipment ever sent to Venus's surface. The probe's drill system extracted soil samples and performed detailed chemical analysis using an X-ray fluorescence spectrometer designed by Soviet scientists at the Institute of Space Research. What they found defied all expectations. Venus's soil contained unusual organic compounds that shouldn't have existed in such extreme conditions. The soil samples showed higher than expected carbon content and chemical signatures that resembled biological processes found on Earth. Even more mysterious, the drilling revealed layered sedimentary structures that suggested Venus might have had liquid water on its surface in the distant past. Venera 13 also detected atmospheric anomalies at ground level, chemical gradients that seemed to indicate active processes rather than static environmental conditions. The probe transmitted data for 127 minutes before succumbing to the extreme heat, but those minutes contained enough information to revolutionize our understanding of Venus. Soviet scientists, led by Roald Sagdiv at the Institute of Space Research, knew they had discovered something extraordinary, but they couldn't yet prove what it was. The data suggested Venus might not be as lifeless as everyone assumed.
The balloon missions.
The most ambitious phase of Soviet Venus exploration began in 1985 with the Vega program, twin missions that would drop atmospheric balloons into Venus's middle atmosphere, where conditions were surprisingly Earth-like. Vega 1 and Vega 2 each released balloon gondolas at 54 kilometers altitude, where temperatures were a moderate 0 to 60 degrees Celsius, and pressure was similar to Earth's surface. These balloons, designed by Jacques Blément in collaboration with Soviet engineers, floated for 46 hours while transmitting continuous atmospheric data. The balloons discovered something remarkable. Venus's middle atmosphere contained water vapor, sulfuric acid clouds, and most intriguingly, phosphine gas at concentrations that couldn't be explained by known geological processes. The atmospheric chemistry data showed complex organic reactions occurring in the cloud layers, with chemical cycles that resembled biological processes on Earth. Even more mysterious, the balloons detected regular atmospheric patterns and chemical oscillations that suggested some form of organized activity. French atmospheric scientist Jacques Blément noted that the chemical signatures were unlike anything seen in purely geological planetary atmospheres. The Soviet data indicated that Venus's atmosphere might harbor active chemical processes that could potentially support aerial microorganisms, life floating in the planet's temperate cloud layers far above the hellish surface.
The phosphine discovery.
Long before modern astronomers detected phosphine in Venus's atmosphere, Soviet atmospheric data from the 1980s had already identified this mysterious gas in concentrations that puzzled scientists. Phosphine is a molecule that on Earth is only produced by biological processes or industrial manufacturing. It breaks down rapidly in oxygen-rich environments, so its presence indicates active production. The Vega balloon data showed phosphine concentrations of 10 to 20 parts per billion in Venus's cloud layers, levels that couldn't be explained by volcanic activity or atmospheric chemistry alone. Soviet atmospheric chemist Mikhail Zolotov noted that the phosphine readings were accompanied by other unusual chemical signatures, including unexpected hydrogen sulfide patterns and organic compound distributions that defied standard atmospheric models. The data suggested that something in Venus's clouds was actively producing phosphine at rates faster than atmospheric breakdown could destroy it. Even more intriguing, the phosphine concentrations showed temporal variations. They weren't constant, but fluctuated in patterns that resembled biological cycles. This discovery remained buried in Soviet scientific literature for decades, largely overlooked by Western scientists who were focused on Mars exploration. But the implications were staggering. If the Soviet data was accurate, Venus's atmosphere might harbor active biological processes that had been generating phosphine for millions of years.
The surface geology anomalies.
The final Soviet Venus missions in the 1980s revealed surface features that really challenged our conventional understanding of planetary geology. Venera 15 and Venera 16 used radar mapping to penetrate Venus's thick atmosphere and image the surface from orbit, revealing these massive geological structures that, honestly, just defied explanation. The radar data showed circular formations up to hundreds of kilometers wide that looked like impact craters, but they had internal structures that were way too organized to be random. Soviet planetary geologist Alexander Vasilevsky identified over 900 impact craters across Venus's surface, but a lot of those showed some really strange features, central peaks, radial patterns, and rim modifications that actually suggested active geological processes. Even more puzzling were these tessellated terrain formations, complex polygonal patterns that covered millions of square kilometers and seemed to be actively maintained, rather than just ancient geological features. The Venera orbiters also detected atmospheric disturbances above certain surface features, suggesting there was active outgassing from specific geological formations. Some Soviet scientists even theorized that Venus might have subsurface water reservoirs that occasionally reached the surface through volcanic activity, creating temporary habitable zones in an otherwise super hostile environment. These geological anomalies raise some big questions about whether Venus's interior might harbor conditions suitable for extremophile organisms, kind of like those found in Earth's deep crustal environments.
The modern reanalysis.
In 2020, international scientists took another look at decades-old Soviet atmospheric data and made a pretty shocking discovery. The phosphine signatures detected by Vega balloons weren't measurement errors, but actual atmospheric phenomena. Dr. Jane Greaves at Cardiff University used the James Clerk Maxwell telescope to detect phosphine in Venus's atmosphere, confirming what Soviet data had suggested 35 years earlier. The reanalysis of Venera atmospheric measurements revealed even more biosignatures that had been overlooked. Ammonia concentrations, unusual water vapor distributions, and organic molecule patterns that really resembled biological processes. Modern atmospheric models have confirmed that Venus's cloud layers, at 50 to 60 kilometers altitude, actually have Earth-like temperature and pressure conditions where terrestrial microorganisms could potentially survive. NASA's Carl Sagan had theorized about aerial life on Venus way back in 1967, but it was Soviet atmospheric data that provided the first real evidence that such life might actually exist. The phosphine discovery sparked renewed interest in Venus exploration, with multiple space agencies planning new missions to search for life in the planet's clouds. Recent computer modeling of Soviet atmospheric data suggests that Venus's middle atmosphere contains all the chemical elements necessary for life: carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and sulfur, in concentrations that could support aerial ecosystems. The Soviet missions may have discovered the first evidence of extraterrestrial life without even realizing it.
The modern reanalysis.
The Soviet legacy at Venus continues to shape modern astrobiology research and future mission planning. NASA's Da Vinci Plus and ESA's Envision missions scheduled for the 2030s are going to specifically target the atmospheric layers where Soviet probes detected those unusual chemical signatures. These new missions will carry advanced spectrometers and atmospheric analyzers designed to definitively determine whether phosphine and other biosignature gases actually indicate active biological processes in Venus's clouds. Private companies like Rocket Lab are also developing atmospheric probe missions specifically to search for aerial microorganisms in Venus's temperate cloud layers. The discovery of extremophile organisms in Earth's most hostile environments, from deep ocean thermal vents to highly acidic volcanic lakes, has shown us that life can exist in conditions we once thought were impossible. Venus's clouds contain sulfuric acid, but Earth organisms like acidithiobacillus bacteria thrive in similar acidic environments. Modern astrobiologists now theorize that Venus's ancient oceans may have supported life for billions of years before the runaway greenhouse effect drove organisms into the atmosphere. If confirmed, aerial life on Venus would represent the first discovery of extraterrestrial biology and would totally validate 30 years of Soviet atmospheric research. The implications would be profound, proving that life can adapt to the most extreme planetary conditions and could potentially exist throughout the galaxy in ways we never even imagined possible. So there you have it. The Soviet Union may have discovered the first evidence of extraterrestrial life decades before anyone realized it. Which discovery shocked you the most about Venus exploration? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed uncovering this hidden scientific history, make sure to like this video, share it with someone who loves real space discoveries, and don't forget to subscribe to Sci and Y for more mind-blowing revelations about our incredible universe. Until next time, keep questioning what we think we know about life in space.